this system for several days, and because of that, it is a flash flooding threat. Here's the latest. Nicholas formed in the southern Gulf this morning. Hurricane Hunter flew in there, found a close circulation, max sustained winds at 40. Tropical storm warnings now have been extended up the Texas coast and include Matagorda County and Brazoria County and the Brazoria County coastline. They end right at the west end of Galveston Island, but they will be extended up across Galveston and Galveston Bay and probably into Chambers County over the next 24 hours as the storm gets a little closer. This is a storm that has a very large moisture field. Again, the center is 500 miles south of us, but we're already seeing rain from it. It's a slow mover, and it is a flood threat that is growing as we move forward over the next several days. Flood watch will go into effect tonight at 7 p.m. Officially, it stays in effect through Tuesday evening. That will likely be extended into Wednesday, as I think we'll still be on the wet side of the system by then, at least by some of the model runs. Here are the tropical storm watches and warnings. Watches include a big chunk of our inland counties, including Harris County, Austin County, Colorado County, Waller County. So what that says is that it's possible that within 48 hours you could see tropical storm conditions in our inland counties. Those winds sustained at 39 miles an hour. And tropical storm warnings are in effect for our coastal counties of Brazoria and Matagorda Bay. That means we are expecting tropical storm conditions, winds of 39 miles an hour or above as we head into the next couple of days. Galveston, you're in a watch right now, but that will probably be extended. I say probably. There is still a very large degree of uncertainty as to exactly where the heaviest rain with this system is going to fall. The European model and the American model, the latest updates are several hundred miles different from each other, and that could have a major impact on who gets the flooding and who doesn't. Maybe we can get a lot of this rain out over the coastal water instead of inland. That's possible. Here's the way we stand right now. There is the storm itself, Tropical Storm Nicholas. Again, that's 500 miles to the south of Houston, Galveston, but look at how this rain and moisture shield extends all the way up to the Texas and Louisiana coast, where we're getting scattered showers right now. Nothing heavy right now, but we're getting scattered showers. This is developing in an area where the sea surface temperatures are very warm, 85, 87 degrees. There's plenty of heat content in the western Gulf of Mexico. We really haven't had any storms out in this part of the Gulf of Mexico this season, so the warm water just built up and it's just sitting here. That is a factor that favors development. One thing that does not favor development is that there are very strong upper level winds out here cutting across the storm. That is shearing and tipping the storm over on its side, and I think that is the major factor in limiting this to maybe just a tropical storm, and that is what the forecast from the Hurricane Center is. These are watches and warnings again on the coast. They extend from the western end of Galveston Island all the way down the Texas coast into Mexico. The yellow tropical storm watches for Galveston and Galveston Bay, those will most likely become tropical storm warnings in the next 12 to 24 hours. Here's the latest forecast track from the Hurricane Center. This is the 4 o'clock advisory. Really no significant change from the 1 o'clock advisory and the 10 o'clock advisory earlier this morning when the cone first came out. It has a tropical storm grazing the middle Texas coast. This has it making landfall just to the west of Matagorda Bay, and that would be Tuesday 1 a.m. And that perhaps still an inland tropical storm with winds of 40 miles an hour. Perhaps that's over portions of Grimes County near Navasota, Dobbin, as we head into 1 p.m. Tuesday afternoon. But notice how the cone then circles out as we get into Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, and Thursday. When you see that feature on a forecast cone, it means that the Hurricane Center believes the storm is going to slow down significantly. Now, exactly where and to what degree it slows down is still unknown, and that will have a major role in who ends up getting the heaviest rain and the heaviest flood threat with this particular track. Now, remember, statistically, when you look at a cone, it's just as likely that the storm will track on the west side of the cone, statistically, as it would on the east side of the cone. You know, a western track would put it almost to Austin, Texas. An eastern track would put it just to the east of the Houston area. And that will have major repercussions as to who gets the biggest rainfall. And we just don't know exactly where that track is going to end up. I think widespread, we're going to see plenty of rain. And you can see, although the center of the storm is here, and you can really begin to see, even on the radar, a little bit of rotation there, that counterclockwise rotation around the center of Nicholas. and the rain already moving inland. This is having impacts all the way to New Orleans. In fact, look at Mobile Bay getting wet. In fact, this is in association with that moisture field all the way into Mississippi, Alabama, Florida right now. South Texas getting scattered showers and thunderstorms from a storm that's hundreds of miles away. Closer view, so Galveston, we've had some scattered showers move in this afternoon. Nothing too big and bad, but it's become a bit of a rainy afternoon across the Brazoria County and Galveston Island. Scattered showers, Chambers County. Liberty County getting a scattered thunderstorm. We had a scattered thunderstorm near Baytown that's lifted up toward the Lake Houston area. But nothing too out of the ordinary for a summer afternoon, although this is the beginning of this huge moisture field coming into southeast Texas. A little bit of lightning and thunder with this. Liberty, Beaumont, scattered showers now drifting up through Polk and San Jacinto County, drifting toward Lake Livingston. Nothing that's going to cause any flash flooding right now. And maybe the best thing we've got going for us as we enter this wet period is that we have been very, very dry for the past 2.5, 3 weeks. So all of our bayous are way down at the bottom of their channel. The rivers are running below their normal levels. The ground is dry. It's dry, but we still have all the vegetation. I'm looking out the window. We still have all this vegetation that's growing out there. The grass is still growing. It hasn't stopped growing. That means the roots and the grass and the trees and the plants are still pulling moisture out of the soil. That's important. That's something called evapotranspiration. So we've got as good a start to a heavy rain event as we could hope for. We just need to hope that we don't get too much to overwhelm us. So we could take several inches of rain before we start seeing any problems on any individual bayous and that type of thing. A little bit of rain activity over Lake Houston right now. Watch for a couple of isolated thunderstorms over the lake. Let's look at the two different model runs. Here's the GFS and the Euro, the two models that we lean on most heavily, and they differ significantly. These are the latest runs of the two. So here we are going into the 13th. So this is tomorrow, and they're similar. The European model making landfall of this system near Brownsville, while the GFS keeps it offshore. So I say they're similar. They're just a few miles apart from each other, but that will have a huge impact on the storm. If the storm can stay out over open water, it is much more likely to intensify and become a stronger system. Lower pressure, more intense winds. If it moves over land, it's more likely to be a weaker system, higher pressure, weaker winds, and also a slower mover. So we move forward in time as we go into tomorrow night. Perhaps even a Cat 1 hurricane is not out of the question off the Corpus Christi coast, according to the GFS. But look at the Euro. Look how spread out the isobars are. Not nearly as strong, a weakening system over South Texas, and probably a slower moving system. The problem is this weaker outcome, which is what you think that's what you'd like to see. It's actually what we don't want to see. What we would rather see is a stronger system that gets pulled northward quicker than a weaker system that doesn't feel the pull and sits on us a little bit longer. And we go into September the 14th. And this puts a tropical storm right over downtown Houston. That scenario, however, would put the heavy flooding rains to the northeast. So it would be our northeast counties and into Louisiana. It would be a smaller portion of southeast Texas that would have a significant flood threat. And this would be moving faster, so it wouldn't be sitting on us quite as much with a stronger system. Here's the Euro. It's out here south of Austin. And it is a much weaker system. It's probably not even a depression, just a remnant low at that point. However, that puts all of southeast Texas, everybody east of the I-35 corridor, in that dirty side, and so this would encompass a larger flash flooding threat for southeast Texas, perhaps our northwest counties in this scenario, with the Euro being the solution that verifies. The point is there's still a large amount of uncertainty. So we're not able to pinpoint exactly where the heaviest rain is going to come down right now. It's a situation where just stay close to the forecast with us, and we're really just going to have to end up going through this just kind of moment to moment. And then we go into the 15th, and there goes the American model, and look, the Euro is still sitting here. So this weaker system with a more westerly track is a much more problematic one for us than a faster, stronger GFS solution would be. There's always something new to look at. Every one of these storms is different. There's been a lot of talk about Harvey. Is this going to be another Harvey? That system was so different from this one that it's difficult to compare the two. Harvey was a system that came off the Yucatan and then became a tropical storm, then cranked into a Cat 4 hurricane and made landfall near Corpus Christi. And then came in, weakened, curly-cued around, and then exited. And that kept us on the wet side for several days. Now remember, a Cat 4, tremendous amount of rotational energy coming in with a system like that. Totally different from a weak to moderate tropical storm coming up from a totally different attack angle. So comparing the two is just really not doable. Also with Harvey, at 3 days out, we had rain total forecasts of 35 inches to 50 inches. The computer models were showing 35 to 50 inches. With this situation, we're looking at max rain totals 15 to 20, maybe 25. Some of the models are putting that out. So although that would cause flash flooding and or flooding, it's not at the moment nearly as much of a rain forecast as it was with Harvey. But really the two are such different animals that it's very difficult to compare the two, except that we will be on the wet side of another tropical system, but a weak tropical system for several days. So the two model runs. So here's the Euro, and this is the rainfall forecast that the Euro track is putting out. So this would put the center of the storm, a weak remnant low near Austin, as we went through Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. And this takes us all the way through Thursday and Friday. And this is putting out 25 inches plus. Let's see, here's Austin County, here's Colorado County, here's Waller County, here's Grimes County, here's Harris County. So in that type of an output, Harris County, we're still looking at 6, 8, maybe 10 in western Harris County, spread out over several days. On this type of a track from the Euro, it would put the area between Austin and Houston with the greatest flood threat. That's the Euro. Look at what a difference just 100 miles to the east would make. This is the GFS forecast track as it stands right now, and here is the resultant rainfall forecast. You're dry west of Austin County. They don't get anything on this particular track. Heaviest rain, Galveston County, Eastern Harris, Chambers, Liberty County, and it's putting out 12 to 14 inches of rain. The lower rain totals because this is also a faster moving system. Now this is also a stronger system, so you would have greater coastal impacts with an onshore flow across the bay and the coastal areas. You probably have a surge of 4 to 5 feet, maybe a little bit more on top of high tide. You'd see some inundation of low-lying areas at high tide with this type of scenario on top of some heavy rain. But for inland areas, for the flooding threat from the rainfall of a system, you want a stronger, faster moving system. This is future track, and this is the European future track. So this is going into tomorrow morning. Scattered showers, especially near the coast. I don't think there's much of a flood threat tomorrow morning. Again, ground is so dry we can take several inches. This is Monday afternoon. Notice the heavier rain down near Corpus Christi, closer to perhaps a landfalling center. Again, this is the European future track. Here's Tuesday morning. Heaviest rain, Corpus Christi to Victoria. Here's Tuesday afternoon. Heaviest rain, areas between Austin and Houston. Again, this is the Euro with the low pressure area coming up from San Antonio to Austin. And we would be rainy on Tuesday, but maybe Harris County proper would miss the heaviest rain. Again, this is Wednesday morning, so Austin County, Colorado County. This European outcome, if this were to verify, would put significant pressure on the Brazos and the Colorado rivers. We go into Wednesday morning, still rainy, a slower moving, decaying low sitting right there. Wednesday night, still rainy between Austin and Houston. Thursday night, still rainy between Austin and Houston. So that's the Euro. That's the outcome that has the highest flash flooding potential for inland southeast Texas. But I think I've shown you, and I hope I've made this clear, that there is still a large degree of uncertainty as to exactly how much rain we're going to get and exactly where it's going to fall. Winds. So this is our IBM computer model, and I wanted to show this run to you because this is the model run that would have the greatest impacts on the coast. So if you live in Galveston, Bolivar, Galveston Bay, especially the west side of Galveston Bay, this is your wind forecast, which I think is very interesting. Watch how this plays out. So this is tomorrow morning. Winds not too strong near the Galveston coast. We go into tomorrow evening. Okay, so 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds near Galveston. These are sustained winds, not gusts, but sustained. A little breezy inland, little northeast breeze. We go into Tuesday early morning, and this IBM model, this is our proprietary model, has the center of a strong tropical storm, Cat 1 hurricane, possible, maybe winds near the center of 74 miles an hour, and that would put sustained winds of 50 in Galveston and across the bay. So if this scenario were to verify, you would have stronger onshore flow, onshore winds. The water would pile up a little bit on the west side and the north side of the bay and along the beaches. This would put a storm surge of really probably somewhere in the 2 to 5 foot range, depending on the topography, exactly where you are along the west side of the bay or the coast of Galveston and Bolivar. So especially at times of high tide, this would inundate some of the low-lying roads and the low spots. That's Tuesday morning. That would be your strongest wind threat if this were to verify. And this is also closer to the GFS. I think the GFS has the storm going something like this. So here's our IBM model, like that. This is Tuesday at 9:30 in the morning. The storm moving off the coast. Now you get an offshore flow at 30 in Galveston, 10 to 15 inland. The storm weakening Tuesday evening. Northerly wind that would bring completely to an end any storm surge threat for the bay. So it's Tuesday morning. If we get a stronger system sitting off the upper Texas coast, that would give the coastal areas the strongest wind and surge threat. But again, we're talking about a strong tropical storm, maybe a Cat 1 hurricane. So the surge 2 to 5 feet, I think at worst. Really, at the moment, the forecast is for 2 to 4 feet. I'm putting 5 in there just in case we get a little stronger storm. But that's what you're looking at on the coast and for the bay. And then it's interesting, this model does keep a tropical system sitting off the Cameron Parish coastline as we head into Wednesday morning. These are the latest spaghetti plots. And, you know, although they're all over the place, they really have it pretty much set in here. Somewhere between Columbus and Beaumont. But if it were to go to Columbus, that's a very wet scenario for Houston. If it were to go to Beaumont, that's a very wet scenario for Louisiana. And Houston would stay dry. So at the moment, here's the way the forecast stands. These are for inland areas. Inland areas tonight, 50% chance for rain. This is for Harris County, Montgomery County. Winds at 8 to 12 in the heavier showers, if we get heavier showers. It's not set in stone that we're going to see a whole lot of rain tonight. 50-50 chance. Monday, it's a 70% chance for rain, off and on. Winds at 10 to 15. Rain totals 1 to 2, isolated 3 inches. That's going to be tonight and tomorrow. So that should not cause any type of widespread flooding threat tonight or tomorrow. On the immediate coast, tonight, it's a little better rain chance, 70%. Winds 10 to 15 out of the northeast. Monday, it's an 80% chance for rain. Winds in some of the heavier downpours, 15 to 20 miles an hour. So when the rain showers come through with a tropical system, that rain, those downdrafts in that rain shower bring some of the stronger winds that are above the surface down to the surface. And that's why when it rains, you get the strongest winds, and as the shower moves past, those stronger winds move back up. Minor coastal flooding at high tide. That will really begin tomorrow late afternoon and evening into tomorrow night as the storm itself gets closer. When it's all said and done, at the moment, broad brushed, inland 4 to 8, coast 8 to 12, gusty winds near the coast in particular, especially if it's a more coastal track. Flooding from heavy rain is the highest risk. Tornadoes are a very slight risk, but they're there. Anytime you've got a landfalling tropical system, you could see a tornado spin off. But because of the slow-moving, long-duration storm, it is the inland rainfall threat that is giving us the biggest threat for flash flooding. That's where we stand right now. We will have a complete live update coming up here pretty soon. It's we're going to be at 5:30. Yeah, at 5:30. So we're live on KHOU.com at 5:30. We are live on our Facebook page. We're live on YouTube as well. It's all at 5:30. And then everything will update. We'll have a complete detailed update, team coverage before you go to bed tonight at 10:30. So KHOU 11 News at 10 is on at 10:30 tonight. We'll have an in-depth look at the weather forecast and have model updates and go over everything for you at 10:30 as well. So we'll see you at 5:30 and we'll see you at 10:30 with the latest updates.